Hey everybody, welcome to I forgot to write down the episode number. Episode 20 of Podcast Lost in Space.
This is 20?
It's 20.
It's the big 2-0.
We're not quite, well, we're legal to drink in most places in the world except the United States.
We were legal last time.
That's true.
And the time before that in most places.
Okay, our podcast is not by years.
We've got Sunny and Alyssa, so at least, hey, we're back up to one of the other hosts instead of a random guest. Newman has a soccer game, and Doc has some sort of personal emergency that pulled him away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're here. We made it. Alyssa,
Yeah.
how was your week?
More like 2 weeks because I went on last time. Okay, I have a list. Let's see. I am now the Assistant Public Relations Officer of Kappa Delta, so that's fun. I get to decorate windows and do fun, creative things. I've been volunteering a lot with Kappa Delta stuff. Just like yesterday was at a gymnastics meet. We did an MLK service plunge, so we got sent out places to volunteer around the community, and I got to go to the YMCA. Yeah, I think it was the YMCA, and hang out with children. I got a job, a new one.
Third one? Fourth one? Sixth one? Seventh one?
Well, it's like really now my only stable job now because I stopped the other ones. But I'm working at the student activities office, like as at the front desk, and kind of like secretary, kind of like information, doing things like that. I want an office job on my resume because I'm working on trying to get an internship. I'm joining PRSSA, which is the Public Relations Student Society of America. That's really cool, and I am hoping I get to do on the 26th this thing called Pro-Am Day, where we go to the cities and job shadow different firms. Let's see. It's been above freezing. I literally go out in my sweatshirt, and I'm not freezing, which is mind-boggling to me.
How much above freezing?
What?
How much above freezing?
It's like 32 to 40 in that range at times. But I mean,
That's sweatshirt weather.
Huh.
Yeah.
Bad.
And so, but like all the snow melts, and that's weird because there's not a lot of snow anymore. But the snow melts, and then it freezes at night, and then you go outside, and it's like ice.
Yep.
Mhm.
Pure ice.
You
So,
should be used to that.
but I have yet to slip and fall. Knock on wood. Have you fallen, Allie? Allie, we kind of have like my roommates here. But we kind of have this thing: who's gonna fall first? And I think it's gonna be her.
I almost trashed a laptop in Calgary when I fell.
Oh, yeah. See, that's another scary thing because I do carry my laptop with me. Let's see. I've been doing a shit ton of reading because school and 18 credits, and all my classes are like reading stuff like history and anthropology and stuff. I have to read a book today. And I went on a date yesterday.
Oh.
Like a real date.
How was that?
It was good. He's really sweet. It's just I realized it's kind of like the first like real date I've been on, not just like, oh, I know you at like I see you every day at school, I like you, then we're gonna go hang out a lot, and then all of a sudden we're boyfriend girlfriend kind of thing. It was like I work with you, we kind of know each other, let's get to know each other a little bit more. And like he asked me to dinner, and I was like, let's just do coffee because it's kind of more casual. We sat for like 2 hours and talking, and he's really nice. So it was good. He like pulled the chair out for me and like walked me to my car, and he's a grad student here, so he's a bit older. It was really funny because one time he was like saying stuff, and he was like, yeah, looking back when I was like 19, and then he was like, you probably think this, but more when you're like looking back to 13. It was like, yeah. So
Grad student, that puts him at 22, 23.
I think he's 23. No, 24. I think he's 24. Yeah, because he took
He's older than me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because I was talking about you, and I was really like nervous, kind of not nervous, but like I was worried that he would be like, "Oh, like how old's your older brother?" And I was being like, "Younger than you." So that was really kind of an exciting thing because it felt like I don't know, it's just new, and so that's fun. Um, yeah, I think that's been my past couple weeks, just kind of doing a lot of homework. I have to write a 5-page. I know Alexander's like, ugh, 5, and Sandy's like 5-page, whatever. But it's a rhetorical analysis on a freaking commercial, and
You can't be wrong with a rhetorical analysis 5-page paper.
yeah, I know. And it's actually kind of nice because my professor's literally like, the last thing I grade is grammar, and I was like, yes. Oh, and I'm wearing a hat because if I don't, then you can't really see my face because it's really sunny outside. So, yeah.
Cool.
Nope, just gray. Nothing but gray.
It's weird to see trees like outside of a window right there because I don't have that. You see
Yeah.
trees, but they're not like big and bushy outside of a window.
Yeah.
Pretty short trees. I'm on a
Sonny,
hill.
how have you been?
Okay, so my last week, there's not a lot to be like, I did this and I did that. I've been really social because honestly, the 2 interviews that are coming up kind of stresses me out. So I'm trying to be proactive and spend more time with people and do fun things versus researching until I become a ball of quivering nerves going, there's so much to learn.
After a certain point, you're just not helping yourself.
Exactly. So I've been really social and I've been horrible about actually like taking pictures and posting it on my Instagram, but you know, I've been social this week, so that's good. I also found out that I needed to get a suit for one of my interviews, which I've never owned a suit before, and I had I really had about a week to get a suit and like make sure that it fit and tailored and everything. I got a suit in less than 2 days after I found out, and it fits perfectly, and I actually got
Is it a pantsuit?
I own 2 pantsuits, 1 skirt suit, 1 extra pair of slacks, and several different blouses. So I'm good.
You're all grown up, Sadie.
Huh?
You're all grown up.
Well, I also I go to conferences and I do a lot of stuff where I do need to actually look professional, so this was kind of a good excuse for me to be like, well, I'm already here. I'm finding stuff that fits and works. So I'm just gonna like suck it up and actually take the plunge, I guess, of devoting that area in my closet to actual adult clothing. But yeah, I ended up coming back down to visit my dad this weekend because of the suit situation, which has been really nice because I got to spend some time with my dad, but also really stressful because it's time with my dad between going, oh, I need to go do this errand and like I have to go see a personal shopper for like this random item, like because I want to make sure that it looks perfect and that like they have in-house seamstresses and da 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 da. So it's been good, but it's also been stressful, and there's also potentially an issue with my car on top of all of this.
Ooh.
So
Always a good thing.
it hasn't been a bad week, and I feel like I've been really on top of like self-care, like keeping my stress level down, considering all of the things that have happened, and me going, oh okay, now I have to do that too. But it hasn't been like a crazy week where there's like tons of tales to tell, I guess.
Where everything's on fire and you're like,
Yeah, there weren't any major fires, but it was like stuff like a bunch of the people in my research lab apparently have been coming down with the flu, or I call the plague, is what happens by like every at the university that I went to. I call it the plague because there's always some flu, cold, stomach thing that rolls around because of everybody's germs that they bring back. And I found out that the person that I was going to be training had the flu, and I was like, yeah, so let's reschedule our meeting because you need to take care of yourself, and I really don't want to get sick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but like, small things like that. No giant fires, just hot birds in when they shouldn't be.
My week's been a bit of an interesting thing because I don't generally nanny on Mondays. I'm not terribly sure why. I think it's just the mom's like, I'm home. I want to spend time with my kids. So my Monday was really like I didn't do anything, or I felt like I was. So I managed to completely overhaul the whole podcast setup for our website, and I didn't break it on iTunes, but I think I broke it on my thing.
Oh no.
But also apparently there was an email that came in that our site got unsearchable on WordPress for a little while. So so Monday I did a whole bunch of things, and yet still managed to end the day without having felt productive because I didn't leave the house. But then the rest of the week, the boys had early dismissal.
Was it conferences?
Yeah, parent-teacher conference. So I was working all like the rest of that week, for actual fair, proper amounts of time. Which kind of ate into things like me going to the gym and me doing other things. But I also managed to...
These with the kids? Because then it doesn't matter if you're going to the gym.
Was I what?
Doing, like, active play with the kids?
Not as much.
Okay.
Go for walks with them. That's what I make my kids do.
That's what they make me do. But
We're going for a walk. I need to go work out.
Thursday, I managed to convince Tasia to go with me to the Champagne Social my dance studio does. Since she should have been a guest. I think her computer broke the last 2 times she's tried to be a guest. Like the hard drive just... But she's one of my friends. I've known her for years now when I worked for the city of Redmond, and she's getting married. So I was like, well, you're going to need somebody to, teach you and your fiance how to dance. So I managed to convince her to do that, and that was kind of my social thing.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up just being me, Tasia, and all of the instructors. But it was still social, ish. And then on Friday, I was like, I'm not allowed to not go to the, Friday night, like, dance party they do, because I need the practice with all of my different dances. And so I had done my lesson, and I had an hour to kill, so I started writing. Hit 9 o'clock, and I just went, and my entire body was just like, you're done. Go home. If you push yourself, driving home is not going to be safe. And I was like, well, okay, that's one social thing I dodged. And then Saturday I did my writers meetup, second meetup.
How'd it go?
We had a nice manageable number of about 7 people by the end of it, which is so much more sane than 14.
Yeah.
But it was good. We just went to Top Pot again because I didn't get a hold of the Starbucks in time to get the table reserved. But it was really good, and you had like 5 people who were like, I can't make it this week, I'm sorry. Which is, that means people want to be in. I learned that even though I'm paying Meetup.com, well, okay, I'm not because I got the year start deal, but even though technically I'm paying Meetup.com $10 a month, that's not their like, hey, your group can be as big as it. They cap your group at 50 people. You can pay them $20 a month, and then they give you unlimited group.
That's how they make their money.
It is, but I'm like, $10 a month is a lot of money for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It adds
$20 a month is a lot of money. Even though it's also not, given that that's like me not going to the taco shop twice.
I was gonna say that's like 4 Starbucks.
Yeah, or 4. But it's like it's not a lot of money, but it is a lot of money at the same time.
It's not an unmanageable amount, but it's an amount that is notable.
Yeah, it's a significant amount, especially when I'm applying for real work, trying to find something. Basically, I'm just trying to be a secretary right now because I want a desk job for a little bit. I've been working with kids for 14 years or something. It's exhausting, and as much as I love it, I want a desk job where I can kind of go to work with my brain turned off and not actually put living creatures' lives in danger by doing it.
Good.
Which is with summer camps and all of that. Like, if you're tired and you don't want to think, and you're one of the drivers, you are actively putting kids' lives in dangers. But $20 a month is still kind of significant. And then I went to see The Revenant with my dad and his friend um, yesterday, which was that is a long movie. That's the one with Leonardo DiCaprio and the bear attack thing. It's basically it's about the fur trading in the American West,
That's
Midwest. It's a two. Oh, let me just pull up. But it's a long. We ended up. It's really intense and really. We started at 6:30. We got out at 9. You know,
Wow.
and it was great because Dad was getting him out of the house because they were planning a surprise birthday party up
Oh,
there
you
for
want
him.
Shiraz?
Yeah. And I was invited to that, and after we got to the movie, I came back home to grab my stuff and grab my car, and went, yeah, no, I don't, I don't have the energy for that either.
Yeah.
And then just sent Mom a text being like, yeah, I'm not coming up, I'm tired, and came here, and just went. Basically, I just went to bed like right away. So unfortunately, I dodged 2 social events this week. But also, I did a bunch of other social events, and I'm like, my brain.
And I feel like that's fair though. Be like, I've out-socialed myself for this week to a certain extent.
Yeah, and for some reason, I've been waking up at 7:45 every morning.
Why? Why would
No matter, even if I go to bed at 1, I wake up at 7:45
You're crazy.
on the dot. I don't know why. And so by about 9 o'clock, my brain's like, you're done. That's enough sleep. It's sleep time again. Which I'll take. Like, it's a normal sleep schedule instead of the batshit one I had for a while. But still.
Yeah.
It's a 2-hour and 36-minute long movie.
Oof.
And it kind of just constantly ramps its tension.
Mhm.
So it doesn't do a lot of downswings.
Mhm. That's intense.
But it was a good movie. I don't think he deserves. Everybody, I heard everybody's like, he deserves an Oscar for that one. He's just as good as It's like the entire cast does really good acting,
Mhm.
and so he didn't really pop out for me as anything special. Also, he spends half the movie grunting and groaning and breathing.
Okay.
It's so weird because I never go see movies here.
Mhm.
Like I think I've been to one, and that was Hunger Games. And
I
there's
go see movies with Dad.
here.
I just don't go really see movies in theaters, honestly.
No, me neither.
I used to when I was home.
Sunny,
Hmm.
I want you next time you're down here and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is out.
No,
Yes,
I will
it's a good
not
book
see
too.
that.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I will not see that. They're like turning a classic into something weird.
So it's a book series. It's a book that they did because they're just trying to reinvent the classic to make it more interesting.
Mhm.
And the bare premise is super interesting. There was a zombie outbreak in London, and a
Yeah.
bunch of the nobles they retreated to their estates, and then they're kind of half pretending that everything's still okay. But they're also training their daughters and their sons, and basically they're training for war at the same time. And then they're like, okay, now we can see how that arc of Pride and Prejudice, like the actual Pride and Prejudice, goes in there.
Yeah.
A little weird.
I don't know. I'll have to think about it because I've actually read the actual Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting that both of you, that Alyssa's like, no, they're taking a classic and change.
Well,
That was Star Wars. That was literally everything.
I like classics, but I'm also okay with the evolution of classics because there are I remember reading, Romeo and Juliet in high school, and my teacher literally having to explain
Yeah.
so many aspects of the wording and the insults and all this stuff. So
I bite my thumb at you, sir.
yeah, exactly. And I told, I appreciate revamping stuff so that it's more understandable to the current masses, if that makes sense. But at the same time, I don't know how I feel
Don't
about
make it weird. Just
completely changing it into a
to
current
zombies.
topic because essentially zombies and vampire, it was vampires for a really long time and now it's all about zombies and like.
No, it's not. We're going to robots now.
Yeah, that's
So-
true.
We were in that whole like ancient monster stage and now we're apparently going to tech, but like still. So I don't know how I quite feel about that.
Yeah.
But I'll consider it. So should we move on to our topic of the week?
Yeah, since we're talking about parents and stuff. So we got a bit of a... Well, the big theme is leaving home.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the stuff we leave at we leave behind at our parents' place. And then the other side of this is, and unfortunately, I really wish we had at least Doc or Newman here, because me and Alyssa will have a lot of the same by dint of we're siblings, but also moving out of your childhood home. All of these, like all three of those two really feed into that leaving home bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, Alyssa, you're the one who has, quote unquote, like moved out the most recently.
I guess it's interesting because all three of us are kind of at different stages. Sunny's kind of on her own. I'm doing the
Well-
college thing, and Alex is
Sort of.
in between, working on it. I don't know. But yeah, no, I can kind of talk about two things because I guess it'll be 2 years now. I moved out of my home that I have only ever known, and that to move to like a new home, but back in Washington. This was before I left for school.
Was that
And
only
I-
2 years ago?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in April, I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that was weird. I refused to be happy about it, and I didn't pack until literally the trucks were there, and they're like, "You need to get your shit out." So that was really
Or we're
hard.
throwing it out.
Yeah, that was really hard because it's like all your memories are there. Like I still drive by it and I'm like, that's my house. I've lived there my entire life. But it was kind of nice too at the same time because I knew I was going to be going away to school and me never moving was scary. And I couldn't imagine going from the one place I've only ever known to somewhere like really far away because I knew I was going to go out of state. And I know at some point I was like, I'm going to go to Europe. And so it was a nice like baby step. And it was at the same time that all my friends were like, we were graduating. It was right before I graduated high school. And it was like everybody else will be going away to school. So this is like, I looked at it as my version of going away. But it was just, it's still hard because it's like where you lived. And like I said, all your memories are there.
And that was the childhood home part of the
yeah.
topic.
Yeah. Then the other part is me moving into a dorm in a different state and not being able to bring all my stuff. And I'm at the point where I have 2 rooms basically. I have my room here and then I have my room back at home because I'm not like moved out completely because I am in school still. And so it's like I left a lot of my trinkets and mementos and stuff like that. And so like my guitar, like I didn't bring my guitars over here and just because it's all about the space. I brought some like things, but it's more pictures and things like that. But once I move out, of course it'll be got it like everything, kind of clear everything out like Alexander did, and he'll talk about that. But and now also I go home, like when I went home for break, it was basically I didn't bring a lot of stuff because I left a lot there. So I'm kind of at the point where I'm not entirely moved, like I'm not moved out, I'm just living away. That's my take.
Yeah, as the dorm, being in the dorm itself.
Yeah.
Well, especially with still having a bedroom back there that you can call your own.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a guest room like Alexander's room's now a guest room. It's not his room, but mine's still my room. And my weird because I moved out and my mom got all new furniture for me, and I was kind of like.
And painted the room.
No, she didn't paint.
She didn't.
No, she got all new furniture, and she like got me like a new like wardrobe or like a dresser thing, and I was like, this would have been really helpful the year and a half I've lived here, but no.
she wanted to make it into a nice room that she could give to guests.
I guess.
Makes sense.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sunny, do you want to go between us?
Yeah, sure. So I think right now, like, between the three of us, I'm probably the most, like, on her own, I guess. Um, and so when I originally went to college, my dad and I moved apartments to actually back to the city that I grew up in, more so when I was living with him as a kid, and away from the place where I attended high school and all that. And he ended up giving me the bigger room for some reason. I don't know. Whatever. But so I only really used the room for maybe 2 or 3 months before I moved up to my university that I attended for nearly 4 years. And about, I want to say, like, probably a year after I moved up there, I decided that I didn't need a, like, formal bed in the bedroom anymore, and, like, I wasn't there, I was only coming back and visiting every once a month type of situation for a weekend. And so I actually was the one to go to him and say, hey, can you sell my bed and, like, sell most of my furniture here that I'm not using, and, like, let's either give you this room to use as your room, and or turn it into an office or, like, a library or something for you, because I'm not really here. As long as I have a place to sleep,
That's about all you need.
like, as long as I have a place to sleep and, like, at least 1 or 2 drawers, because I don't even have a dresser here anymore, like, meh. I'm pretty good. And I've lived in the apartment that I'm currently living in back in my university town, and I've lived there for 3 years, so it's very much mine, and, like, it's all formulated, and I have a bunch of furniture. And I actually, this weekend, I kind of looked through the stuff that I left here at my dad's place, and I realized that I really only have old textbooks from the community college that I attended as part of Running Start. I have a bunch of my own personal books, or, like, books that friends gave me that I really enjoyed when I was younger, but maybe aren't necessarily stuff that I would read as much now. Like, I have a collector edition Alice in Wonderland book set in there. I have a bunch of, like,
The
manga.
kind of thing where you're like, I'm not going to read it,
Yeah.
but it's emotional or actually valuable.
So I have a couple boxes of, I have a lot of boxes of books, honestly. And then the rest of it is, there's one box of cooking supplies, because my mom gave me a ton of kitchen stuff. Like, I could have literally opened up my own bakery type of thing. It was kind of crazy. And so I have a container of that I keep around, just because I think it's good to have that stuff kind of stashed. And I have 2 boxes of old stuffed animals that I just couldn't bring myself to get rid of, because, like, my little cousins gave them to me, or my grandparents gave them to me when I was younger. And then there's one box of actual, like, mementos that aren't stuffed animals or books. And that includes stuff like, actually, a pair of sweatpants that I've never worn from one of the universities that I almost attended and decided not to. And, like, random artwork from family trips, and, like, one of those weird, like, temperature things, like, a bunch of random stuff. And then also, so I have these interviews for PhD schools, and I might soon be moving away, like, cross country, kind of like Alyssa did, potentially farther away even. And I'm going to be moving to a completely new place, potentially, and anything that I bring has to fit in my car. So right now, I haven't officially gotten an acceptance letter anywhere, but I'm definitely kind of looking at my stuff at my apartment that I live in and going, okay, what do I really, really want to keep? What can I get rid of? And it's pretty much come down to, like, 90% of my stuff, I'm okay with getting rid of it, because it's like, well, I mean, I like this, but is it worth hauling across the country in my tiny little hatchback?
Yeah.
That's what I kind of that was my struggle, because I was so attached to everything, because it's just what I've always had, even things from when I was like a little kid, like the little porcelain horses or something.
We were throwing out actual plastic jewelry, and she
Yeah,
was crying about it.
Oh, I
it's
don't.
just like it's like stuff that you've had for so long, and I had to be like, when was the last time I used this?
No,
Or when was the last time I thought about using this? You
I'm
know?
talking about like pounds of, like an actual like pound of plastic jewelry we pulled out of the depths of her
It was
closet.
okay. That was when the bracelets were like a thing, the like rubber ones that you got everywhere. Anyway, so that's what I had to. And now, like living over here, there's nothing that I'm. And like my mom, when I first moved out here, my mom sent me a couple things that I was like, oh, I need this. But now when I went home for break, I was like, I looked at my stuff and I was like, this is all great, but when I was home, I like was like, you know what? My mom knows these kids in like Canada that they like need stuff, and I was like, why not give it to somebody that actually is gonna need it or like enjoy it, and it makes it easier. But that fact of you literally have this amount of space to take your life.
Yeah.
What do you need? And my thing was mostly clothes. Like,
Well-
so much clothes and shoes.
Does that mean you're going to slowly get out of that second closet since you own 2 closets at Mom and Dad's house?
I am mostly, the only thing that is in that closet is, like, prom dresses and homecoming dresses.
Honestly, when it comes down to it, when I potentially have to move across the country, my tiny little car will be stuffed with clothing, shoes, my computer, and, like, there are a couple of mementos that I really want to take with me. Like, I have this vintage set of bird pins, which I've never used, but I love them, and I'm sorry, like, I'm never getting rid of them. My dad got them for me, literally, like, not even for my birthday or for Christmas or anything, but he just kind of saw them and was like, oh, Sunny would love these, and so I got them.
Yeah.
And, like, there's stuff like that, and there's definitely, like, a big part of this, too, is I would be moving to my own apartment. I wouldn't be, like, there's very little chance that I'd be moving back into the dorms or into a furnished place if I move across the country. And so a lot of it also comes down to what furniture is worth keeping for me. And it's actually come down to, like...
Your mattress?
Like, no, I can't move my mattress across country, really. It's really difficult, and it's really expensive.
It's like, honestly, my thought is it's better to like sell it and then use that money when you get there to go to IKEA or something and like buy stuff.
There's only one piece of furniture that I'm not like 100% willing to get rid of, and it's because it's the first piece of furniture that I bought for myself, and it's a vintage drawer. And I've already kind of been like, okay, well, if I don't move it across country, I could keep it at my dad's, but then I have to like go through everything because I don't want to take up any more room with my storage. I want to take up less room if I'm cross country. But that's also really hard, like, because I mean, I haven't even been accepted anywhere. I have no idea where or if I'm going to be moving next year, and I'm already kind of starting to like mentally go through this stuff because
you have to.
Well, it's such a big thing because, you know, the moment that I get an acceptance letter and I decide that that's something that I'm going to pursue, I need to start selling my furniture.
Yeah.
And, you know, I already re-went through my clothing. I have a giant duffel bag in the bottom of my closet that I purged my closet of stuff, and if I don't use it in 6 months, like, I'm selling it or giving it away. Because
I have a bad like attachment to sweatshirts. I literally have probably 20 sweatshirts that I never use, but I won't give them away.
To be fair, our family has a mild addiction to outwear. Sweatshirts, coats. Anytime we see a really nice coat, we come up and we're just like, oh, hot. I could afford to spend that little bit of money on that coat. Yeah. That's a really nice. I mean, I have 3 leather coats, but that extra 4th leather coat would be really nice.
We do. That's weird. I never thought about that.
Like, looping into my stuff, I've got actually a bunch of stuff up at my parents' house. Since I am in this weird kind of mid-step between, I've done a really weird thing where I moved out in my freshman/junior year of university, and I moved into the dorms, which were an apartment. Um, but I didn't move that much stuff. I moved enough clothing for, a bit of time. All of my underwear, all of my socks, of course, and my computer, and then just kind of like school stuff. And then I moved back home for my senior year of university. And so everything kind of was packed and unpacked, packed and unpacked. But when I moved in university, when I moved out, we were still in our old place. We hadn't moved or anything. So I basically just moved back into my old room, which was amazing. And I want that room back. I want that room back. Oh. And then we moved out of the house that I had basically grown up in. I had moved once when I was little from apartment to the house.
No, we went Canada to Florida, Florida to apartment, apartment to home.
Okay, fair, but I was like 3. I don't remember Florida to Canada or Canada to Florida to Canada,
which is really important.
Yeah, I remember the apartment. Because we had a weird infestation of ladybugs that would come into the crack in the corner of the ceiling, and I would catch them.
It's like humans' ants.
Yeah, kind of. But then, and so I had that room set up exactly the way I wanted it for years. It was the right color. I had 4 of the really tall IKEA bookshelves and a low IKEA bookshelf with all of my books, so I was constantly surrounded by my books.
He literally lived in a library.
Yeah.
It was kind of awesome.
Which is amazing, and honestly, like, that is my next goal. Like, that is the goal for me in the future, is to be able to do that again, and surround myself, and live in a library again. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's up with my throat today. So it was really hard to move out of that home. We cried. Even I cried. Alyssa cried a lot, and I told her to shut up and grow up.
I bawled.
But
I was so sad.
The other problem we ran into was I was in Costa Rica, and I got the call from my mom being like, "Hey, we've got like 2.5 weeks to get the house packed and ready for sale. So I'm gonna start packing your stuff." And I'm like, "I'm in Costa Rica. Don't touch my stuff. Go pack Alyssa's room. She's home," which didn't obviously happen. And then we showed it for about like another 2 weeks.
10 days.
10 days.
Sold in 10
and then
days.
We sold it. And then we moved.
I was not prepared for the selling thing. My mom was like, "We're gonna put it on the market and we'll see." And then it was kind of, we weren't getting anything. And then they're like, "Okay, we'll just take it down." And then it sold. And then they're like, "Okay, we're like moving." I'm like,
yeah. So we had a month to get used to the idea that we were moving out of our childhood home. And what ended up happening was, but our house wasn't going to be ready for like 2 weeks. A week? 2 weeks.
We had a week in between, I think. 2 weeks?
So Mom, Dad, and Alyssa went down and stayed at a hotel. And I moved in with the Simmons. For a week. Little did they know that was going to turn out to be a trial run for the last 9 months. And then we were up at the other place, and it sucked because the room was smaller, it wasn't in the basement, it wasn't always cold. I had to deal with actual proper temperatures, which is awful. Let's took the bigger room.
I got first dibs on the room because it was my house, but not Alex's.
Yeah, and so I was dealing with that. And then when I moved to Calgary, Alyssa took my bed with my mattress, which I'm still mad about, in case you can't tell.
He's bitter.
It's a good bed. But then basically I was up there for about half a year.
6 months.
So I wasn't really unpacked, and so the garage, my about 500, 600 books were packed in boxes in my parents' garage. No big deal. And I was smart because I had made sure I packed them in a way that I could get to my favorites a lot more readily. But it's not the same as being able to be like, my book, whenever I wanted to read something. But But then I moved to Calgary, and we used the same car that Alyssa used to get out to North Dakota. So I had to pack all of my stuff into the same car, but there were 3 of us in the car. Um, Thankfully, I don't do nearly as much clothes as you two. But
Harder with girls.
yeah, no, I'm not like I just don't need that much, even though I had a lot of jackets. But I had a dual monitor, a 360, a laptop, and then there's a few things that I really kind of have to have with me. Some of them, the big ones I showed last week, but it's my art that my friend drew for me. It had to come with me. And then I also brought a box and a half of books. So I brought around 100 books with me. No, I brought about 70 books, and I ended up buying about 30 more.
Wait, so did you guys pack the car with boxes?
Yes.
I didn't. I used duffel bags.
I didn't have duffel bags.
Duffel bags.
If you pack with boxes, you get a lot less room to bring stuff.
I packed with boxes for the books because you can't put books in a duffel bag.
Yeah.
We had the same 2 hockey bags Alyssa used, actually. I packed my clothes in.
Yeah.
And you still have your clothes in them.
No.
Not anymore.
No, actually, no. So then we moved up there, and I took like a box of my important paperwork and things because those things really actually become important when I'm like, well, where the hell is my tax return from last year?
One thing that's really important is having either your birth certificate or a certified copy of your birth certificate.
Yes, I learned this the hard way. Thankfully, I was in the right province, and I was able to get my birth certificate sent to me so that I could then get my driver's license, so that I could then get my medical card, so that I could then apply for work. That was an annoying 2 weeks. But also, I didn't if I had actually thought about my moving and planned ahead. I doubt that stuff would have been a problem.
It's also interesting because Alex moved to another country, but to us, Canada is our second home.
Well, for me, it literally is.
It literally is his second home, but it's also to me. But it's yeah, you have to think about the medical stuff and all that shenanigans, like he was saying.
But because I had moved out, moved back in, moved out, the whole family had moved, I had then, packed. Even about 2 years down, I haven't fully unpacked myself at any point. But what ended up getting left behind at my parents' house was a bunch of. I have a lot of sweatshirts and sweaters that my mom buys me, and it's this looks so good on you. I'm like, I don't like sweaters, Mom. I wear 2 sweatshirts. It's my N7 hoodie and my UW hoodie. That's all I ever wear. And it's one's there for when the other one's in the wash. But the biggest thing I left behind, and it's really the only thing, I left my Legos behind because Legos are expensive, and even mom and dad are like, look, we keep those until you have your kids because there's a lot of Legos. I left my Hot Wheels behind because Hot Wheels are expensive, and mom and dad are like, look, we keep those until you have your kid because Hot Wheels are expensive. And then basically, there's about 12 small boxes in mom and dad's garage of my stuff. 10 of them are books.
Yeah.
Almost all the stuff I've left behind is books, and it is one of those things where because there's 500 books, and even if I get move out tomorrow and I get myself a nice studio apartment, I'll have to buy the furniture. And I'll have to buy the bookshelves, and I'll have to, and I don't want to unpack those books until after I know I'm going to be there for at least 2 or 3 years. Because books are fucking heavy.
See, I'm lucky I feel like I don't have anything. Mine's just mostly clothes.
Clothes aren't as heavy as books. Books suck.
I have a lot of books, but I'm really fortunate where most likely wherever I move, I can use media mail, which will save me a lot of space.
What is media mail?
Media mail, so for those who don't know, because apparently Alexander doesn't, it's a really economical way to ship books and, the media that you can't just plug into your computer or your Kindle or whatever. And there's really strict guidelines on what counts and what doesn't, but that's probably the only reason why potentially moving across country in a tiny little hatchback doesn't freak me out, because I'm like, well, I know I can fit
50%.
my computer and my clothing and like the couple of knickknacks that I really, really care about, and my, personal documents that I just kind of want to have just to make sure that I'm good for however long I'm in that area, without freaking out.
So
Because,
that's really interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
books,
you could,
videotapes, DVDs, CDs, printed music, other sound recording, as long as it weighs less than 70 pounds and you pay like $2.72.
yeah,
Instead of like the 200 a box of books will actually cost you if you do by
Cool.
weight. That's
Yep.
super useful to know.
I'm surprised you didn't know. I was actually shocked that you didn't know about that. But yeah, because that's
To be
like,
fair,
We
I
should
moved to
post
Canada.
that. We should post that link online.
you
Yeah.
should.
That's helpful to know.
My cross-country move moved me to Canada, so it's a little messier.
Well, so maybe that's something that I'll write up as I
Yeah.
hopefully get closer to potentially having to move across the country.
Yeah, that's super cool. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to dig into this stuff because it's super interesting, the stuff that ends up getting left behind.
I'm excited to, like, 10 years from now, when I have my own home, hopefully, or I don't know, I'm like, and I come back and I look at, I'm probably still going to have all my stuffed animals. Okay, I
Oh, I
have
left those behind
eight,
too.
9 Build-A-Bears, so like I am stuffed animal attached. But like go back and you see in movies and stuff, like they go back and they look at all their
Especially
old
after the
stuff.
parents are dead and you're going through your grandma, your dead parents'
Or
garage.
in the new movie Sisters, they went back because their parents were selling a house and their
Yeah.
rooms were like exactly how they left them, like after high school and stuff. I was like, I can't wait to go look back and or have like my first kid and then my mom sending me stuff, or hopefully not sending me, but I don't know, we'll see where I end up.
We're sending her to you.
Like,
She's living with you.
I might end up in Europe, so you might get lucky and have to ship mom across the country or across the pond, and
Hey, she'd love it.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, no, it's a cool thing because your parents' home is like our time capsules,
See,
basically.
that's actually really different for me than you guys, because you guys have that time capsule thing, and for
Mm.
me, like, I never really had a like childhood home, if that makes
Mhm.
sense, because my parents got divorced when I was really young, so the childhood home that I was supposed to have ended up getting kind of fought over in the divorce, and therefore, like, I've grown up actually in apartments for most of my life, and I was actually, so the move right before I graduated high school and went off to college was actually kind of started by me going, Dad, we're renting a 2-story house. It's you, me, and 2 cats. When I go off to college, you don't
don't need
need
this.
much space.
I remember that
Well,
move.
Huh?
I remember that move.
Yeah, because I think the move took a total of 3 weeks, and that's including the day that that's starting from the day that we saw the apartment to the day that we moved, and everything was moved over.
To be fair, she got a bunch of help from all of the guys that we would hang out with.
Yes.
So there was like 5 guys. Like, are you feeding us? Okay.
But I mean, that was also like my dad doing late night trips over to the new apartment and like just moving, because he has a bunch of board games. So like we had to move board games, my stuff, his office, all this stuff. But so for me, I don't really have that time capsule the same way that Alexander and Alyssa do. Instead, I more have like these couple of boxes and like the random trinkets that I sent to my dad for like birthdays and Christmas over the years, and that's really my version of a time capsule, I guess.
Yeah.
So
You have
I
like,
can't-
I was just gonna say, you have like the individual objects kind of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
we did move out of our childhood, but like we still have a shit ton of stuff at our parents' house.
So
I
I'm
have-
gonna tell Ryan's story a bit, mostly because God, I've known him.
He's not here to tell it.
Yeah, he's not here to tell it, and I know most of it. He moved out of his childhood home. They moved not districts, but they moved far enough that all of his school shifted. in 7th grade. And actually, it was bad because I think most of junior high I didn't see him. It became a lot harder for us to see each other, despite the fact that I now regularly travel that distance. All of the family does. And so I can't tell what kind of knickknacks and stuff he got rid of in that process, but I do know that was kind of hard. But it also worked out for him in terms of because he moved schools, he went from kind of being, it's Ryan the dork, to being like, oh, it's Ryan the soccer player. And so he was kind of cool, apparently.
It does give you the opportunity to
reinvent yourself.
Yeah,
and so it helped him there. And then, but he also has kind of a god. Okay, his mother makes, even the arguments that me and my mom have, which are bad, and I have come up, look like super sweet and gentle and kind of thing. So he moved down to Portland for his university, and basically he took just about everything with him. He left some stuff behind, and it was just kind of like, it was, his high school diploma and things like that got left behind, and then a bunch of
you need
junk.
That with you.
I still know what high school diploma is, so.
Mine's framed at my mom's house.
Mine's not framed.
I know.
I'm the star child, and mine's not framed.
Well, maybe you're not the star, huh?
No, you need something to make you feel a little bit better about yourself.
Yeah.
Oh.
But basically, he left behind kind of junk and extra clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other side of that was, we had just, he ended up getting my desk, my office chair, and like one of my shelving units, because when he got his own place outside the dorm, Mom was like, well, we've got a bunch of stuff in the garage. How much of it can we fit in your car? Oh, we can fit that much in your car? Cool, have it. And I'm still pissed because then he left the desk in a garage and then just kind of gave up on it, and it was a good IKEA desk.
It's funny because he's the first child to go. Okay, because he's like our, as you guys, well, he's like our other sibling. So he's the first child to that gets our furniture and moves out to life for himself. And Mom's like, here, have this stuff, and I'm so proud of you.
I got a crappy office chair from Walmart and a folding table.
Oh.
When I was in Calgary. To be fair, my parents paid for it, but
yeah.
They spent like $200 on stuff for me.
Mm-hmm.
But so then he did that, and I know his parents just moved out of that house as well. And he was like, Mom, there's one box that you can't throw away, and it has my high school diploma in it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else I don't care about. So he had the experience of, he was moved out, in college already. Almost all of his stuff was gone, and he doesn't he doesn't have that. Yeah, my mom and dad are gonna hold on to those books forever.
I mean, don't get me wrong. My dad would definitely. So I just did the math in my head, and currently, before the clean out, I had 8 banker boxes, which aren't too big, and 3 plastic containers.
Yeah.
And that's all I really have here. And that's I have some bedding, I have a blow-up bed, and I have some bedding to put on that so that the cat doesn't kill it. That's technically from my great grandmother or from back when I lived here. But that's also stuff where if a friend comes into town and my dad needs to make sure that they have a place to sleep, they get to have that too.
Actually, that's really funny because when I went down to San Diego, I made Newman buy a second set of bedding for his couch. Because he goes, do you want this blanket? And it's a blanket that's 5 feet long. 5 feet by 5 feet. And I'm like, no, I'm going to make you go buy bedding so that I can actually sleep on, be covered.
That's really interesting. Is that a normal thing, putting bedding on couch? Because I know we do it. But now that I think about it, nobody that I have stayed over at ever thinks to do that. But we always made our couches into a bed kind of thing, with actual bed sheets.
I never do it with bed sheets. I usually do it with quilts, but that's because I've grown up with cats.
Yeah.
So, because it's also I also have those super micro plush blanket things
Mhm.
at my apartment. So I'll set up my, Alexander has visited, so he can actually attest to this. One quilt thing, one quilt blanket thing goes on bottom, and then another one is for actually keeping you warm, and then you get a nice pillow.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is Ryan doesn't have any pillows, so I was using the cushions of the. I almost bought a pillow and was like, Ryan, I'm just gonna leave this pillow here. But I was using the cushion of the couch as my
Life
pillow.
of a young adult. Pillows are a luxury, apparently.
I have like 5.
I have nice pillows, but that's because I get migraines, and my
I love
response to
pillows.
migraine is I'm gonna go sleep now.
Yeah.
I just love to nestle. All right, we've hit our hour
But yeah.
ish, more or less.
Mhm.
All right, Bliss.
You can find me at alyssap.com. And it's my photography. Buy me a coffee if you want to. It works because my dad did it, and I got money.
She'll take the coffee.
I will take coffee. I am a starving college student. I don't want coffee. No. But yeah, no, check out my photography website. Hopefully I keep saying this, and I probably should stop until I actually do it, but I'm going to try and get an Instagram up going for us, so we'll see.
Zenny.
So I have an Instagram, and I'm still using it. You can find me under SEAE789. I'll be the one with the similar face and Seneca, that whole thing. Yeah, find me there, I guess, and follow me or like my pictures. I don't know. Go for it.
You can find me on Twitter, which is the social media platform of the time. And you should be using it, all of you, especially the marketing major down there. At Red Breard.
Relations and advertising, not marketing.
Whatever. At Red Breard, REDBREARD. I always forget how to spell it, despite the fact that I've used it for decades. If you look on other social media, you'll generally find me that way too. I have a Amazon author page now, so you can find me on Amazon at Alexander Pineda. You can find my Facebook writer page at Alexander Pineda. And then you can always find all of the stuff we do at podcastlostinSpace.com. If you want a running feed that kind of just tells you when anything comes out, our Twitter account, PlissOfficial, does that. I keep saying it. Actually, probably I've been saying it longer than Alyssa's been saying she'll set up an Instagram page, but I promise I'll start using Twitch, which is PlissOfficial as well. If you want to get a hold of us, drop us a comment on Facebook, send us a tweet, send us an email at podcastlostinSpace@gmail.com. Comment on the on the website, anything, and we'll get to it. And seriously, if you want us to talk about something,
let us know.
Let us know. I had somebody bring up some why don't you guys talk about these things? I thought these would be really important. So you're going to see one of those topics next week. Because they were right. I'm like,
We can't think of everything.
I can't think of everything because I'm the only one who does.
Hey. You're not a rock star.
What about Seneca?
No. There's actually a bunch of the ones coming up are from other people. But, there's that. We have survived January.
Woo.
We'll see you in the new year
February.
or in the next month. Yeah, we're
It is
finally out of
Month of love.
we're finally out of the first month of the year and all that weirdness and into the
It's
weirdness
funny
of the rest of the year.
They were saying New Year's resolutions, but nobody does it. So February is actually the start.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym, and then the days I go to the gym are the days that I don't have a car, and I'm like, well, shit.
That's funny. Anyway,
All right, have a good one.
peace out.